Man, I'm starting to believe the hype, man, on whether or not trucking for me or not. Like, if you've been watching my story, man, like, for real, like, I've been down more than I've been up when it comes to this trucking, man.
Right now, truck drivers across the country are stepping away from the industry. Not because they can't drive, not because the job disappeared, but because the lifestyle no longer makes sense. And the industry keep calling it a shortage. But when people keep leaving the same job for the same reasons now, that's not a shortage, that's a signal.
I know that you going to have downtime, you going to have all of that when it comes to being an owner operator. But, man, the way all of these situations been happening, man, back to back like this, man, it just made me think like, damn, am I in the right field, man? Like, I'm losing. It ain't no winning in this situation that I'm in, man. Like, shoot, I ain't coming up. I know it's a process, but I ain't coming up. Shoot, it's hard for me to be able to provide for my family like I need to, like I want to, and with all this stuff happening, man, like I say, I just had the coolant reservoir tank that I had to get that replaced, and this happened. Like, driving around into my truck and tore everything that I put into it. You know what I'm saying? And before that, it was situation after situation after situation, and I'm just starting to believe the hype, man. Like, I done seen people in my comments saying maybe I need to get out of trucking. I don't know, man. I'm trying to keep the faith, man, but with all this happening all at once, man, it's definitely hard to keep the faith in it.
We're seeing a lot of drivers leave the truck industry right now. And after looking into this pattern, it's clear it comes down to intense working condition, pay that don't always match the reality, and a lifestyle that can wear people down over time. What this creates isn't a lack of licensed drivers. It creates a high turnover environment where people enter the industry, experience the reality of it, and decide this ain't suitable for me, not for my life. When it's time to pay those bills and truck and feed costs and mechanic costs and stuff like that, they start weighing the income versus the outcome, and they don't want to do it no more. So right now we're experiencing a high turnover. There are plenty of people with CDLs who could go join the industry today. That's not the problem. They're choosing not to invest their time and years into it. This has been happening for decades, but right now it feels different. Turnover in some companies is pushing past 90%. When you hear that number, that isn't normal moving. It's instability. You hire one driver, you lose a driver over and over again. Because a lot of
I ain't gonna hold.
Over the road trucking has got to be one of the most absurd career choices anybody could choose going into 2026. And here's why. If you look historically at over the road truck driving, I understand entry level positions and entry level carriers are not going to pay a lot. But historically, the reason why guys have been willing to make that sacrifice and not just drive around locally and be home every night like they'd like to be, but rather living in the truck, being confined to the truck, being in that prison basically for weeks on end and away from their families, as hard as that is, the reason why guys have done that is because that's supposed to afford them the ability to make a substantial amount of money compared to what they could make if they were home daily. But now, going into 2026, and I study this stuff weekly. I look at Glassdoor, I look at Indeed, I look at, I Google search, and I look at ads. I'm seeing truck driving companies all over social media, all over these job sites that are bragging about saying like, yeah, 2 or 3 weeks out, $1,500 per week. And if they're going to pay you like $1,800 per week, then they're going to expect you to be out like 4 to 8 weeks, like a few carriers I've seen. That is not the type of money that you should be accepting to live in a truck and to literally just basically not have a life for like a month at a time and be away from your family for a month at a time. That is abysmal. That is shocking because you can literally, and for most people, you can find a home daily job or a job where you're home maybe every other night doing out and back trips, have a full weekend off where you're making just as much, if not more than that. I mean, you look at food service, you look at a lot of these other types of jobs like that. You're home every single day and you're making a lot more money than most guys are making to literally live in confinement in a truck. I don't know why guys are still doing it. Again, with the exception of the people who I guess are having to cut their teeth at these larger companies. But I'm not even talking about the mega carriers right now. We all know they pay horrendously. That's their whole business model. Even for experienced drivers, they pay a laughable amount of money, which is why I don't know why experienced drivers stick with them. But I'm talking about like mid-sized carriers too. I'm seeing flatbed jobs. I'm seeing tanker jobs for this same amount of money. Things that are not necessarily niches where you could expect to make a lot more, but things that are, you know, a little more experience driven than, let's say, dry van. And some of these jobs are wanting people with 2 to 3 years of experience, spotless records. You look at their benefits packages, they're terrible. So like they want people to live in a truck for $1,250 to $1,550 per week, somewhere around there, $1,600 per week, with terrible benefits, abysmal home time, where you're going to get treated pretty poorly. And even if you're getting treated well, I don't care. I'll work for a company where I'm treated poorly if they pay me enough. That's what I would prefer. I don't want somebody, pandering to me over the phone, cutting up and chatting with me while they're robbing me financially. I'd rather.
A large percentage of drivers leave within the first 90 days. Others exit within 6 months, and many who stay are actively searching for better pay and working conditions. Now that tells you that the drivers aren't avoiding the work. They're looking for work that's sustainable. I mean, surveys are showing many drivers need about $100,000 a year to make the lifestyle even worthwhile. But the median earnings have been far lower than that. And that gap matters. Because when the pay don't match the sacrifice, when the pay don't match the time away from your family, when the pay don't match the health strain, unpredictable schedules, people start reevaluating, did I even make the right choice? Because during the pandemic, trucking looked like it was a fast track to 6 figures. Freight demand surged, rates climbed, people rushed in. And while high earnings was possible, they came with extreme hours and long stretches away from home. That moment created some expectations, but them expectations don't always match the long-term reality. At the end of the day, drivers are weighing a sacrifice against return, and more of them are deciding the balance no longer works. If nothing changes, the trucking industry could face a serious strain. The delays, the higher costs, difficulty meeting demand. Because when experienced drivers leave, you don't just lose labor, you lose knowledge. And that takes years to build. Do you understand there's a lot of seasoned drivers out here? And losing them is tragic.
Have it the other way around. So I'm just saying, somebody told me one time, the only over-the-road truck drivers are ones whose families hate them or who hate their families. And I don't think that's true. Maybe it's true in some respect, but I think there's also the other half out there, which was me, where we're doing it because we love our families and we want to provide for our families. But that's the problem. Now that's been taken away because you're not actually getting paid that premium to live in confinement in your truck for up to a month plus on end. So why are you still doing it? That's just why are you still doing it? I know there will be people who comment before they even listen to the entirety of this video and they'll say, well, I'm doing it because it fits my lifestyle and I liked it. I'm not talking to you. I'm talking about people who have a family at home, who want to have a life outside of work and not live in confinement in a truck. Okay? I'm talking about those people who want to have a work-life balance. Why are you still doing over-the-road truck driving? I promise you, if you just start looking and you're willing to touch freight sometimes, or you're willing to get up super early, you can find a job where you're going to make just as much. Well, I make $500,000 a year, and okay, that's great. If you're pulling oversized, you're doing highly specialized stuff, hauling nuclear waste out to the desert somewhere. I'm not talking about you either. Again, we're talking about the bulk of the over-the-road drivers who think that that is their only option. I promise you it's not your only option. And since I've came off the road, my life has been so much better. My work-life balance, my relationship with my wife and my kids and my family, it's been so much better. I feel so much better, right? So again, I just don't want people to get stuck in this mentality, which I was in, that this is my only option because I need to make X amount of money. And it seems that's what they want. They want to trap you into believing that you need them. You need to be over the road. You need them because they're willing to pay just a little bit more, and then most people's budgets and finances are so razor thin that they're going to have to stay in the truck if they want to make it work. But you don't. That's the thing. Again, that's the whole premise of this video. Going into 2026, you don't need them anymore. You can go take that nice, cushiony home daily job. You may still work a lot of hours, but you're home every single night. You get a full weekend off. You're not living in your truck, and you can make just as much than most of these companies, if not more than most of these companies are paying you currently. So again, if you're somebody who has a family at home, you want to have a better work-life balance, you don't want to live in the truck and you're tired of doing it, start looking around. Be willing to go outside of your comfort zone, touch freight, do things others aren't willing to do, and I guarantee you, you can find a job that's going to pay you just as much, if not more, than that horrendous company you're working for now, where you're literally forced to live in confinement for up to a month plus on end. I am as close to quitting trucking as I have ever been, and I'm going to tell you why, because I really think this is going to be the downfall of the trucking industry. We cannot keep throwing trucks onto the road to try to keep fighting and climbing to get ahead of this increased supply, because we keep dumping people into our country, and the people in America just keep buying. They gotta have. I understand we gotta have trucks to deliver the stuff, but we've also gotta have, guess what? We've gotta have mechanic shops to fix the trucks when they break that don't have a 10 to 15 hour wait to get a tire replaced, or dealerships that don't have a 2-week wait to get a basic benign wiring problem traced down that they have to fix, right? We shouldn't have drivers out here having to wait an hour to get fuel because there's so many trucks trying to pile into one truck stop. The same thing for the one across the road, the same thing for the one the next exit down. Just trucks bleeding out into the roads because there's that many trucks trying to go to that truck stop to get fuel for themselves. We shouldn't have guys pulling up to shippers and receivers that have went out of their way to meet an appointment time just to have the shipper or receiver say at every single location you go to, sorry buddy, we're backed up, we've got like 50 other trucks coming right now, because they're trying to backfill this supply demand that they can't meet, because they got to keep delivering product, they got to keep making product, because the American people keep buying. We got more people we got to support. I have no problem. That's great. That stimulates the trucking industry. It stimulates the freight market. I'm just simply saying we cannot keep this dichotomy up if we don't do something about addressing the fact that we don't have a mechanical infrastructure out here that can support the volume of trucks that's being pushed through it. I just blew a trailer tire out. That's part of why I'm so heated right now. I've went to 5 different repair shops. I've called 5 different ones. I've went to 3 different ones. All of them have between a 5 to 15 hour wait for me to simply get a spare tire on my trailer put on the rim to replace the tire that blew out. This happened to me a few weeks ago, another bad trailer tire, and it was the same thing. Every truck stop, 10 to 15 hour wait. One of them said almost a 24 hour wait because they're behind. Every truck stop, every time I've ever blown a tire out, every time I've had to go to a truck stop, it's the same thing. It's just the only difference is now it's so widespread, it's everywhere that you go. I went to get fuel this morning. It was an hour and 15 minutes waiting my turn to get into the fuel bay, waiting for the fool in front of me to pull his truck out. Finally, after having to go in the truck stop and page him, the guy was sitting on the pot, drinking his coffee, right? I mean, I go to shippers and receivers. Oh, it's going to be a 10-hour wait, 15-hour wait. I don't have to deal with that as much now, but it's like, at what point are we going to finally slap ourselves in the face and realize this cannot keep up? It's going to get to the point where we don't have mechanics. I mean, guys cannot wait days to get a trailer tire put on, yet that's where we're going, right? Guys are not going to be able to spend 2 hours of their shift, which they don't really have to spare, to get fuel, but yet that's where we're going.
And this isn't just trucking. We're seeing shortages in skilled trades, including mechanics needed to keep these fleets running. When there ain't enough qualified technicians, the truck go sit longer. Your repairs take longer. Your costs rise. This is going to be a system-wide issue. It already is. And for decades, this message was clear. It's been going on for a while. Go to college, get a degree, pursue a white-collar career. Meanwhile, fewer people are encouraged to learn skilled trades. Now we're going to see the consequences of that. The demand on hands-on skills is rising. but the pipeline isn't keeping up with it. Trades are no longer optional, they're essential. So sometimes you might have to get something else if you're not happy with being in the trucking industry over the road. I remember going to CDL school, being excited, learning everything. It was a bit easy for me because I knew all my car parts under the hood. I could point out anything. So when I went to school to get my CDL, it wasn't as hard. But after I did 3 weeks of not being at home, I turned in the keys. That was it. I couldn't do it. At the same time, many workers are stuck in low-wage retail, warehouse roles without clear paths and higher paying skills. That's the part of the big picture. This ain't just about trucking. It's about how we value labor, skills, and sustainability. And that's where we're at right now. The mechanic shortage, the refueling shortage. That all this is a trickle effect affecting trucking. Guys aren't able to just drive, drop their load, refill, go. It's the wait time. That's the aggravating part in trucking. If we continue this path, the outlook for the industry isn't promising. The concern drivers are raising makes sense. Now, the trends we're seeing are real, and ignoring them won't make them disappear. This isn't just about trucks. It's about people trying to rebuild life that works. So the real question isn't where the drivers went. The real question is what will make them stay. Drop your thoughts below. If you can't handle OTR, it's best to get out of it. Evaluate your situation. If you feel like I want to get into trucking because of those things I just mentioned, the low-wage retail warehouse roles, think clear and hard, because these people with experience are telling you the truth on a lot of things. And as always, keep your eyes open.
True, don't get sugar-coated. Keep it real so you know we gon' be speaking on it. Got the latest headlines on what's going down. We keep our eyes open before it all hits the ground. Southern economy, hit that light. Make sure you subscribe, real talk, real true, real life, we go survive. I got my eye wide open for when the markets hit the ground. You got them pockets wide open when them dividends come around. Oh baby, just hit that like, subscribe. I might teach you a little something about how to make $1 out of dime. I'm a real prepper, stockpiling before the shit hit the fan. I only trust in God, I don't depend on man. True, don't get sugar-coated. We keep it real and we keep it rolling.